pledge today will be led by Lexi Alex. Oh, and give me a second, Lexi. The House will come to order. And the pledge will be led by Lexi Alex, Bromwell Elementary School, Denver, Colorado.
Will everybody join me to say the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Caller, please call the roll.
Representatives Arndt. Becker J.
Stand right at the top.
Representative John Becker. Present. Becker K. Brown. Buck. Buckner. Representative Buckner.
Members are coming over from, just excuse it.
Okay. All right. Buckner excused. Carver. Conti. Corum. Court. Danielson. Del Grosso. Del Grosso excused. Dorr. Duran. Esgar. Everett. Fields. Representative Fields excused. Foote. Garnett. Janal. Hamner. Hamner excused. Humphrey. Joshi. Kagan. Klingenschmidt. Kraft-Tharp. Landgraf. Lawrence. Lawrence excused. Lebsock. Lee. Leonard. Lontine. Lundeen. McCann. Representative Fields is present. Representative Buckner is present. Melton. Mitch Bush. Moreno. Moreno excused. Representative Del Grosso is present. Representative Hamner is present. Navarro. Neville. Nordberg. Pabon. Pabon excused. Pedersen. Primavera. Priola. Rankin. Ransom. Rosenthal. Rupe. Representative Rupe. Present. Ryden. Sane. Salazar. Sias. Singer. Singer excused. Thurlow. Tyler. Van Winkle. Van Winkle excused. Vigil. Willett. Williams. Wilson. Winholes. Winter. Representative Winter. Wist. Young. Madam Speaker. Representative Singer is present. Four? Nope. Representative Lawrence is present. Three. Representative Pabon is present.
With 63 present, 2 excused, a quorum is present. Representative Thurlow.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, members. I move that the reading of the journal from April 6th, Wednesday, 2016, be dispensed with and that it be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
You have heard the motion that the journal be adopted as corrected by the Chief Clerk. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries weekly. Announcements and introductions. Representative Kagan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the Judiciary Committee, we're having a slightly unusual
Representative Kagan, would you hold on just a minute? I think we're a little rowdy this morning. May we have your attention to the well, please? There are important announcements. Please proceed, Representative Kagan.
Members of the Judiciary Committee and those interested in those matters that we hear in the Judiciary Committee, we're having a slightly unusual order of proceedings in Judiciary Committee this afternoon. At 2 o'clock, there will be a remote testimony on House Bill 1391, and so that has been scheduled for 2. House Bill 1307 will start at 1:30 at the regular time, but then we will break off from House Bill 1307 at 2 o'clock, take remote testimony, and then if we haven't finished House Bill 1307, we'll go back to that, and then on to Senate Bill 85. House Bill 1377, you will note, has been taken off the calendar and laid over at the proponent's request. That's sex special offenders for drug offenses by Representative Foote. That has been removed. Thank you.
Further announcements. Representative Joshi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And colleagues, a couple of weeks ago, there was going to be a meeting about insurance education by Griffith Insurance Education Foundation, but we had to postpone it because of the snowstorm. So this meeting has been rescheduled for April 20th, and it will be at the same spot, the Colorado State University Denver Education Center. You all have a invitation on your desk. Your staff is also welcome. There will be a buffet dinner. And one of the professors from the CSU will be enlightening us about the subject. So please RSVP so we have a head count for the dinner. Thank you.
Further announcements and introductions. Representative Melton and Representative Everett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yeah. Friday.
Good morning, members. As you know, tomorrow is normally bow tie and bolo Friday, but we've been noticing this trend of bringing your baby on Friday. So, and wherever Singer is, so we're now naming it Baby Bolo Bow Tie Friday. So bring your baby or your bolo or your bow tie. If you don't have any of those, you wear a scarf.
Amen.
Representative Lantine.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, those two are always a hard act to follow, but I will try. Today, members, is
Representative Lantine, excuse me 1 minute. I don't think anybody can hear you. May I have your attention to the well, please? Please proceed, Representative Lantine.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for that. I wanted to especially be heard because today is House District 1 Day, and I have some constituents visiting today to see what we do and the House in action. So let's give them a good show today. And if you guys could all stand up. And you guys could give them all a big welcome. Thank you so much.
That's only a $2 fine, Representative Lantine. Further announcements and introductions. Seeing none, the next order of business is third reading of bills, final passage. Members, please take your seats. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1331.
House Bill 1331 by Representative Lantine, also Senator Merrifield, concerning the use of restraints on a juvenile during a court proceeding.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1331 on third reading and final passage.
The question is the passage of House Bill 1331 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no discussion, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Pabon. Close the machine. With 38 ayes, 26 noes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1331 is passed. Co-sponsors. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1365. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to lay over House Bill 1365 until tomorrow, April 8th.
The motion is to lay over House Bill 1365 until tomorrow, April 8th. Seeing no objection, so ordered. The next order of business is second reading of bills. Representative Fields.
Madam Speaker, I move the House now resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders.
You have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Representative Fields will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee amendments will not be read unless requested, as they are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen or on your iPads and will not be read unless requested. Bills will be laid over upon motion from the Majority Leader, and the Coke rule is relaxed. Mr. Kohler, we don't have a calendar up yet.
Oh, Pat. Well, you can look, it's 1311.
Oh. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1311.
House Bill 1311 by Representative Salazar concerning court orders requiring payment of monetary amounts.
Representative Salazar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, members. I move House Bill 1311 and the corresponding Judiciary Committee report.
Thank you, Representative Salazar. To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Judiciary Committee report took care of some of the concerns of some of the stakeholders regarding language. It made some clarifying corrections to the bill, and I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The committee report passes. Representative Salazar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill is something that members who were here 3 years ago, you've seen this bill. This is the Debtors Prisons Bill 2.0. And as you all know, it passed out of the House of Representatives unanimously, and it passed through the Senate with a vote of 34-1. And the reason for that is because we recognize as a body that debtors' prisons are illegal in the United States and have been for a number of decades. Unfortunately, the municipal courts have created their own loophole, which precipitated this bill. And because they created a loophole, we've had to address it once more because they're basically thumbing their nose at the legislature. But there were some concerns about the language of this bill here. And so working in conjunction with the Attorney General's office, as well as the ACLU, I move Amendment L004 and ask that it be displayed.
Thank you, Representative Salazar. Is there further discussion?
No, I move L004. There we go.
L004 has been moved and is properly displayed. Representative Salazar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is an agreement between the ACLU and the Attorney General's office regarding how a court would go about determining if a person is unable to pay a particular court order fine or cost. And so with this amendment here, it brings the Attorney General's office to neutral, and I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on Amendment L004? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of this amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. This amendment passes. Representative Salazar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, as I indicated, this is a bill that passed a few years ago in 2014 unanimously, and we've had to update it. We had to close the loophole that was created by the municipal courts. For some reason, municipal courts still want to have debtors' prisons in the state of Colorado, and they're thumbing the nose at the legislature. This is a good bill, once again, to close those loopholes, and I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1311. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. House Bill 1311 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1302.
House Bill 1302, Representatives Duran and Del Grosso, also Senator Newell, concerning the alignment of the Colorado statutes with the Federal Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act.
Representative Del Grosso.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1302 and the Business Affairs and Labor's Committee report.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's basically just adds some clarifying language, and I urge an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The committee report passes. Representative Del Grosso.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this basically just aligns. There were some changes at the federal level, and this aligns it, allows Colorado to align it, lets us put together a more Colorado-specific solution to this problem, and I urge an aye vote.
Representative Duran.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. This will enable us to use existing resources, the federal resources for workforce development as part of our workforce development package. I ask for your support.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1302. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. House Bill 1302 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1356.
House Bill 1356, Representatives Kraft-Tharp and Nordberg, also Senators John and Holberg, concerning requirements related to the satisfaction of indebtedness secured by real property.
Representative Kraft-Tharp.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There is no committee report.
You have to move the bill.
To the committee
And
report.
I move.
No, there's
So
no
I
committee.
move House Bill 1356.
To the bill.
Okay, thank you. So House Bill 1356 is a simple bill which updates Colorado law to make it consistent with current practice and with the law in other states. Under current law, whenever a loan is paid off, the lien must be released, which causes the loan to be closed in most cases. House Bill 1356 saves time and money for consumers because they will not have to reapply for a new HELOC every time their payoff is zero.
Is there, Representative Nordberg,
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, good bill, vote yes.
is there further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1356. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. House Bill 1356 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1401.
House Bill 1401, Representatives Becker, Kay, and Priola, also Senators Woods and Hodge, concerning the regulation of retail food establishments.
Representative Priola.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1401. There is no committee report.
To the bill.
Members, this is a good bill that was heard in Business Affairs. It's a collaboration, a year-plus collaboration between counties, CDPHE, and as well as Restaurant Association, folks in the restaurant business. Ask for an aye vote.
Representative Becker Kay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A large and diverse group of stakeholders came together to support this bill, including the Colorado Association of Local Public Health Officials, Colorado Bar Owners, Colorado Hotel and Lodging, Colorado Restaurant Association, Colorado Retail Council, Colorado and Wyoming Petroleum Marketers Association, Natural Grocers, and the Rocky Mountain Food Industry Association, which represents restaurants. We got to a great compromise, had a good discussion in business, passed out 10-2. We ask for your support.
Is there further discussion? Representative Grosso.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Representative Becker, I listened to the discussion that was had in committee, and they asked overall across statewide, restaurants would be paying about $2.5 million more per year in increased fees as a whole. Now, if I'm a single restaurant owner, if I only own one restaurant, Brian's Cafe, how am I going to benefit from this bill by having my food license increased by 50%?
Representative Becker Kay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Minority Leader, for the good question. So let me clarify that is across the state and after 3 years. The restaurant fees increased 30% the first year, then 10%, then 10%. In fact, the counties and local public health officials asked for a much bigger increase, but went with this based on a compromise. And here's what the restaurants, grocers, bar owners, and other retail food establishments get in return. They get a commitment to that plans must be completed within 14 working days. That's a significant reduction in the time that it takes food inspectors to review plans, whether for it's a new restaurant, a new bar, or an expansion, or another change. They get higher levels of training and education on food safety principles. This is important for the retail food establishments because they want to make sure that the inspectors who are coming in are trained well, are not getting things wrong, are not citing them for violations that they shouldn't be citing them for. They want to make sure that their food inspectors stay around and aren't constantly being replaced by new people who may not be trained as well. One of the most important things that the retail food establishments get is standardization of food safety inspections. Again, the one thing we heard during the stakeholder meetings is that from county to county, you would get very different results, very different citations, very different levels of frequency. So we're going to standardize that. One of the other critical things is the uniformity in how food inspections are communicated. So it's important to all stakeholders that when food inspections are communicated to the public, they are communicated in a way, described in a way that is both fair to the restaurants, accurate, and not misleading. That standardization means that one county will be describing their food inspections in the same way as another county. There was some concern that certain counties were maybe not being fully informative, fair, accurate in their grading system, and so that's something that is addressed in this bill and is very important to all stakeholders.
Representative Priola.
Thanks, Madam Chair. And Representative Del Grosso, there's a chart from testimony actually from your county, if I could have it displayed, that will kind of illustrate to the folks why this collaboration happened over the last years, if that could be displayed. There it is. Okay, so we're looking back, since '87. If you look at the FTE went from 4.7 to 5.7, an increase of 21%. But the retail food establishments went up 127%. And that's why folks in the industry, hotels, grocery stores, restaurants, convenience stores, are desperate to have a consistent, reliable system that they don't mind paying for, but they want to get something in return. And that's what the negotiations, the year-plus negotiations in this bill have come up with. It's a good bill. Vote yes.
Minority Leader Del Grosso.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Representative Priola, thank you for putting up this chart, because if you'll notice, yes, the number of establishments has grown, by 1,000 restaurants. But there's also 1,000 more restaurants that are now paying that fee. So 1,000 restaurants time that yearly fee, there's a lot more money actually coming into the system. So the money has kept up with what's going on. But I would like to point out a few things. Representative Becker did make some points in here as far as some of the positive pieces that are actually in this bill. And I don't dispute that this bill will speed up plan review. This bill will provide more standardization between health departments in multiple counties, and it brings uniformity in the grading system. But what I am going to point out is, if you are a single store restaurant owner, or if you're a single store convenience owner, or if you're a single bar owner, this will not benefit you. Because if you're a single store person, you don't operate in multiple counties. So really, if you're in Larimer County, you don't care what the heck they do in Logan County, because they can inspect their restaurants totally different than Larimer County. But if I don't operate over there, guess what? Doesn't affect me. So only multi-store unit owners would this actually benefit. The plan review, if you're never going to grow, or if you're not planning on remodeling your store or your restaurant, this will never benefit you. So there again, somebody that is planning on growing, somebody that's planning on opening multi-units, or I got Brian's Bar and I want to have Brian's Bar 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yes, having faster plan review would benefit me. So I just want to be clear. And when you're talking about the uniformity in the grading system as well, there's only one county, Weld County, basically, that does this. There's a couple other counties that have some kind of a minor type of grading system, but there's only a few counties in the state that actually that applies to. So I just want to be perfectly clear that yes, some restaurants, some bars, some convenience stores would actually benefit from this. I am one of them. I admit that I would benefit greatly from this bill. But if you are a small operator, you are paying an increase, a substantial increase in fees, so I can grow and I can expand and I can operate in multiple counties. So I just want to be clear on what you're actually voting on.
Representative Becker-Gay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Minority Leader, for your engagement in the bill. A couple things I want to point out. The fees haven't been increased in 8 years, so that's significant. The other thing is, you know, as the Restaurant Association often says, foodborne illness is not good for business. It absolutely benefits restaurants to have regular food safety inspections. It benefits the entire industry, because if one restaurant is having significant issues, that can bleed over to how people feel about other restaurants in that county. And lastly, to have consistent ongoing relationships with your food safety inspector, making sure that person comes regularly, that you're in contact with them, and that they're doing more than just coming in and out real fast because there aren't enough food safety inspectors and they're not taking the time to talk to the restaurant owners, help them through some of the issues, doesn't benefit the restaurants either. All of those things are things that benefit small restaurant owners, you know, and the convenience stores and everyone else. So we can agree to disagree, but I think there's significant benefit in this bill for small retail food establishments.
Representative Priola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Representative Del Grosso, I'm impressed. I've never heard someone speak and mention that this benefits them on a bill and speak so forcefully for or against a bill that they should probably take a 21C on, but that's another issue. The E. coli does not discriminate between a single restaurant owner or multiple locations. This bill helps to ensure that those folks who are providing food to the public have a consistent, up-to-date fee schedule and practices in the regulation of the food industry. Ask for an aye vote.
Representative Leonard. You're next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in opposition to this bill, too, for a lot of the reasons that Minority Leader Del Grosso pointed out. There's a 127% increase in restaurants, which means there's a 127% increase in the fees. But the increase of only 21% of inspectors tells us that the health departments are not allocating the money that they're receiving, the fees that they're receiving, for the inspectors back to inspect these restaurants. So the fees today can be allocated because they're getting significant more fees. It doesn't help the 1, 2, 3 restaurant establishments, and even the plan reviews can be worked around. For a restaurant, if you know that it's going to take twice as long for a plan review, you're able to at least to forecast that and not be inconvenienced. But if you're charged 30, 40, and then 50% more in your fees, that's a significant increase for something that can already be handled today. And then lastly, the grading system that's going on per counties, that's a county issue. That doesn't need a statewide issue to be able to balance those across the board. If restaurants in those counties don't like that grading system, which I would agree that it ought to be changed, but they should be working with their county, not having the state do a uniform grading system throughout the state. So please vote no on this bill. Thank you.
Mr. Minority Leader Del Grosso. Representative Priola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Representative Leonard, your analysis would be correct, save for the fact that wages have increased over the last 10 or 20 years, but the fee has stayed the same over the last 10 years with this proposed in this bill to its maximum increase. Keep in mind, even though the number of restaurants has increased, the workload has increased, and the FTE in the Larimer County example is only increased by 21%. We also had strong testimony from El Paso County, a very conservative county, who agrees with this bill, likes what was negotiated in this bill. And to Representative Leonard's other point about supplanting funds, that was an area of this bill that was negotiated. If you look on page 11, lines 6 through 7, it says, supplanting funds for other county programs is prohibited. Now keep in mind, if right now $4 are spent, just for an example, on food safety, and the additional fees this bill brings in spends $5, and the county in prior years has spent one of those $4, the county cannot pull that $1 away, so there's still only a net of $4 being spent on food inspections. So with that, I still ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Minority Leader Del Grosso.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, just because a fee hasn't been raised in 8 years doesn't mean it's a good idea to now raise the fee. And yes, you will never hear me argue against a bill that benefits me so much. But the reality is, yes, E. coli and getting people sick is bad for business. But me paying an extra fee so the health departments can basically come harass me more often doesn't change that practice. What changes the practice as a business owner, as a bar owner, as a convenience store owner, I know that if I get people sick, if people come into my restaurant and people get sick because of that, they are not going to come back. It will be bad for business. That is why me as a restaurant owner, or me as a bar owner, or me as a convenience store owner, do the things that we need to do on a day-to-day basis to make sure that we are keeping up with health requirements that are out there and making sure that people are not being sick. But getting inspected 4 or 5 times a year instead of 2 is not going to change that practice. That is why I'm opposed to this bill.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I rise in strong support of Representative Del Grosso. If someone got E. coli at your restaurant, it's not that they won't come back, it's that they can't come back because they're going to be too sick to come back. It's important, members, that we have these safety inspections and that we update the fees. It'll be a decade by the time that this bill gets enforced that the fee will be increased. And if we're going to keep up with the cost of doing business in this state, we've got to make sure that we make this change in this bill, with this bill, members. And so with that, I would ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1401. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. House Bill 1401 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1306. 1360.
House Bill 1360 by Representatives Landgraf and Lantino, Senator Lumber, concerning the continuation of the regulation of direct entry midwives with Director of the Division of Professions and Occupations, Department of Regulatory Agencies, in connection with implementing the recommendations contained in the Sunset Report prepared by the Department.
Representative Lantine.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm sure Representative Landgraf will be here in just a moment to help me move House Bill 1360, and we do have a committee report, which I also move.
To the committee report. Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee report we added an amendment that made it so that if somebody had a cesarean section, they could not be served by a midwife. And we also included an obstetrician and a certified nurse midwife on the task force. Nobody's listening.
Okay. Is there further discussion? Representative Lantine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We do have an amendment to the committee report, so I would move L003 and ask that it be properly displayed.
L010?
3.
I don't think we have that one. Do you have a packet?
Waiting for the amendment to be properly displayed.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, this is.
Sorry, this is it.
Yeah, it's L010.
O010.
L010 has been properly displayed. Please proceed. Representative Lundeen.
Lantine, thank you, Madam Chair. One for Representative Lundeen. Madam Chair, I moved the wrong amendment, so I just want to correct that and move L010.
You want to move L010?
Yes, Madam Chair.
It is properly displayed.
Thank you. So L010 amends the committee report to add a pediatrician to the task force that we added in committee.
Is there further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of this amendment, L010, to the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The amendment passes. Representative Ransom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have another amendment to the committee report. I move L008 and ask that it be displayed.
L008 has been properly displayed. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had extensive discussion in the committee, several hearings on the midwives' continuation of their ability to practice. And one of the amendments that came out of the final committee, which you've seen now, is that they removed the ability for midwives, direct entry midwives, to deliver women that have had a prior cesarean section. And when speaking with the midwives, I saw their extensive questionnaire. They do a lot of vetting to find out if these women are healthy and if they are able to deliver at home under the care of one of these direct entry midwives. And more importantly, there are lots of women that have had multiple children, and if they had one cesarean and then had maybe 2 or 3 healthy babies in a hospital and then want to have one at home, these direct entry midwives have thoroughly vetted this. I ask for an aye vote on L008.
Is there further discussion on this amendment? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L008 to the committee report. All those in favor say aye. Yes. Representative Janal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think this is a friendly amendment, and I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on this amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The amendment passes. To the bill. To the committee report.
Oh, no.
Nothing else on the committee report.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The committee report passes.
We took off.
To the bill. Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1360? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. House Bill 1360 passes.
No.
Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1320.
House Bill 1320 by Representatives Foote and Carver, also Senator Cook, concerning the regulation of massage therapy to modify practices that are linked to criminal behavior.
Representative Foote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1320 in the Judiciary Committee report.
To the report. Representative Foote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, the committee report includes a number of amendments that we made in committee as a result of a further stakeholder process. One particular amendment talks about how the director in this case can take into consideration rehabilitation of the applicant before deciding whether or not to issue a license for massage therapy. There is an amendment also that deals with the exemption section in this bill, and we made clear in committee that what we're doing with the professions that are exempted is we're just simply moving it from statute to rule. And there's also some statutory language in there that talks about the categories of those professions that will still be exempted once it's in rule rather than just statute. There also was an amendment that dealt with the indecent exposure part that made it internally defined rather than a reference to Title 18, the Criminal Code. And finally, there was an amendment that Representative Carver offered that I would like, in the chair's discretion, to turn it over to Representative Carver to speak about.
Representative Carver.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This amendment, which got support from the committee, expands the authority of local municipalities to deal with human trafficking. And so the entire bill concerning the regulation of massage therapy to modify practices that are linked to criminal behavior is focused on dealing at both a state and local level to deal with this growing problem of human trafficking.
Is there further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Judiciary Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The committee report passes. To the bill. Representative Foote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this bill is a bill that is a way to try to address massage therapy being used as a front for human trafficking. It's in the regulatory area that we're trying to address this. It's based on the premise that prevention is always better than prosecution. And this is a result of a lot of work from DORA through stakeholders, among others, in order to try to tighten up the regulatory regime so that we can continue to crack down on this issue statewide, and we will be asking for an aye vote.
Representative Carver.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this bill is supported by the counties, CML, police chiefs, county sheriffs, defense bar, and certainly within my local community, the Human Trafficking Task Force of Southern Colorado, whose current chair is himself a massage therapist. And so the massage therapy, massage parlor industry is adamant that this is, human trafficking is a criminal activity that needs to be addressed in my community. I urge support of the bill.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1320. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. House Bill 1320 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 133.
Senate Bill 133 by Senator Tate, also Representatives Pabon and Willett, concerning the transfer of property rights upon the death of a person in connection with clarifying determination of heirship proceedings and probate.
Representative Pabon.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I don't want to leave out my friend and colleague, Representative Willett, but he may be unavailable at this time, so I will move Senate Bill 133, and there is no committee report. There is Representative Willett.
To the bill.
You know, we had a very good hearing on this bill. I'm going to let Representative Willett talk about it, though.
Representative Willett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Apologize for the delay here. Yes, this bill is a Bar Association bill, and it passed unanimously in the Senate and in the House. It's somewhat complex, but it helps people with their estates. Sometimes when you're a joint tenant, you have to prove that the person who died had an interest in the property. If an old couple moves to a new town, they can't find a witness to do that, so it makes that process simpler. The Bar Association sections on estates and probate were in favor. The other thing the bill does is it allows in those complex situations of mineral interest where you have numerous properties and you have to figure out who all the heirs are, rather than have literally 20 or 30 separate probate proceedings costing upwards of $40,000 or $50,000. You have one probate proceeding where the judge considers all of these mineral interests and determines the heirs. The lady who is the co-chairperson of the Estates and Probates Committee for the CBA testified, and she was key on this bill, and it passed unanimously, and we would ask for an aye vote. Yep.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 133. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Senate Bill 133 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1357.
House Bill 1357, Representative Primavera, also Senators Garcia and Cook, concerning implementation of the STEMI Task Force recommendations for development of system to improve the quality of care of patients who suffer heart attacks.
Representative Primavera.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1357 and the Public Health and Human Services Committee report.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee report did a couple of things. At the request of the Hospital Association, it allowed for a nurse or physician assistant involved in cardiac care to sit on the committee. It put appointment of committee members in the hands of the governor only, even in the event of a vacancy. It defined what hospitals should report to the National Cardiac Data Registry. It said that these hospitals had to be accredited by the Society of Cardiovascular Patient Care as a STEMI receiving center. It ensured that the data was in compliance with all privacy standards and that the department would comply with all privacy standards with the blinded data, and I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The committee report passes. Representative Primavera, to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, heart disease is the #1 cause of death for women as well as men in the United States. And for those of you who don't know what STEMI means, ST segment elevation myocardial infarction, or STEMI. This is a heart attack caused by a prolonged period of blocked blood supply. It affects a large area of the heart muscle, and so it causes changes on the exams as well as in blood levels of key chemical markers. Once heart muscle is damaged by this kind of heart attack, it will never grow back, and it's the most dangerous of all heart attacks that we have. So in 2013, the Colorado General Assembly passed Senate Bill 225. Part of what that bill did was create a task force made up of physicians, cardiologists, hospital administrators, survivors, and experts in cardiac care from across the state to address gaps in coordination of care for ST-elevated myocardial infarction patients. And it was tasked with making several recommendations. They made the recommendations. This bill implements those recommendations, and I ask for an aye vote to improve cardiac care in the state of Colorado.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1357. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. House Bill 1357 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1361.
House Bill 1361, Representatives Primavera and Becker J., also Senator Sonnenberg and Newell, concerning the ability of a person eligible for prescription drug benefits to choose the pharmacy at which to fill a prescription drug order.
Representative Primavera. Representative.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1361 in the Public Health Care and Human Services committee report.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the committee, we allowed the hospitals to get an amendment to make sure that their patients are taken care of by the hospital for inpatient and emergency medical care. And we also made some amendments to make sure that we are talking about patient's choice.
Is there further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The committee report passes. Representative Becker J.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this bill is about patient's choice and allowing them to decide where they get their meds and where those meds go. This is not a bill against mail meds or mailing your meds. This is a bill that just simply allows the patients to have a choice of where they get their meds in the state of Colorado. What we're asking is to make sure that if you trust your hometown pharmacist or your pharmacist, you can go there. If you want to get your meds through the mail, this bill does not disallow that. It says that you can still do that. All we're asking is that this is the patient's choice in order to get their meds for them from a place that they trust. Asking for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the pass. Okay. Representative Winters.
Thank you. Just real quick, in testimony for this bill, there was a number of people who came forward saying that they felt that what was being forced upon them was to order online or mail order for their prescriptions. And basically, some of this medicine is not conducive for that type of purchasing process. And so they felt that they needed that choice to be able to go to their local pharmacy, who was in the network. That wasn't this problem, but they felt that they should have that choice. And since these contracts are basically with the insurance companies and the networks, or the pharmacies in the network, it's not a contract with the patient, so they really should have that choice. So I would appreciate a vote yes on this. Thank you.
Representative Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did get to hear this bill in committee. We had extensive testimony on both sides on this. There are a couple of issues here. One, of course, is the classic government interference inside a contract between private parties. That is an issue. But inside our healthcare system, as you know, the insurance process is very convoluted, and we have to work within a non-free market in there. So, but given that, the issue in this bill is about 95% of pharmacies are covered in PMPs, and the issue really, and it does occur, no question, in rural areas, that a employee under an employer's plan may not have the opportunity to go to a local pharmacy and get it for the same cost. They can still get it, but they don't want to be able to pay that difference in convenience. Now, if convenience were everything, they would be able to get a mail order and be able to have a discounted price through the mail order. And they get that discounted price because the healthcare provider is able, the health plan is able to negotiate more volume, higher traffic, in order to drive down those costs, especially with mail order, but anywhere else in larger pharmacies. That price then is obviously passed on to the customer, the final customer. But we have to remember that it's the employers that end up deciding how wide the network ought to be. And the wider the network, obviously, the more the traffic is pushed around, and the higher the costs. And so some employers have to be able to say, I want lower costs, and I'm going to limit or restrict the number of pharmacies that are included. But mail order is the one that's usually always on everyone's list because they can drive the lowest cost because of the volume. And so when the employers have to make a decision about price or convenience, they try and hit that balance. What we're saying is after that decision's been made, the employee then doesn't want just price, also wants convenience. But in our world, you can't have both. You're not able to say, I want the price at Costco because they do a huge volume, but I want to be able to go to my local Piggly Wiggly and be able to get the same price. Costco, right now, in this bill, it says, well, we'll just match the price. But what's going to happen is when the business is driven away, either by contract or by free choice, driven away from the mail order or anything else, those prices are going to rise. And so when those prices rise on everyone, only to satisfy a small segment that wants more convenience than price, that means that that copay that those few individuals didn't want to pay are now going to be paid by everyone else, as we have to balance that free market choice that everyone has to make. So this on the surface may sound like it's good because, well, pharmacy just matches that price. The only problem is if Costco doesn't have that volume, they won't be able to offer that price. The price has to go up for everyone in order to satisfy a select few. And those few still have the convenience of mail order at a discounted price. They still have the convenience of being able to pay a larger copay at their local pharmacy. So we're not removing choice from them. What we're really doing is we're just changing their price. They want their subsidy provided by everyone rather than the small amounts. And in our system of healthcare providing, that can't happen. So while the intentions of this bill are good, the economics of it are not favorable for everyone else. So I'm in opposition to this bill for those reasons. Thank you.
Representative Becker Jay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I'd like to address the contract law that Representative Leonard was just talking about. You know, it would be nice to say that we get in the middle of contract law, but when you can't decide where you buy your insurance and you can't buy insurance across state lines, I'm not sure we're getting in the middle of contract law. When we have no choice of whether or not to buy insurance, you're not getting into the middle. This is mandated to you. No matter what they're saying, if this is mandated to you and you have to buy it, I would say that's the violation of contract law. They are forcing us to do something that we don't necessarily have to do. The government has already forced that upon you, and they will tell you that this is a violation of contract law. Imagine that you get your insurance from your employer, and that's what they're talking about. Narrowing the network. This is not narrowing the network. They've even told you out there that they contract with 95% of these pharmacies. What they're doing is protecting one area of their business. That's what's going on. This is not getting in the middle of contract law, and this is not going to raise prices the way they say it is going to. 21 other states do this. 21 other states do this. Texas is one of those. They cannot measure if this has increased costs at all. So don't believe all the stuff that's coming through saying that the boogeyman is coming. That's not the case. Contract law doesn't hold up here. This is about patients' choice and allowing us to have choice and allowing us to use the businesses that we trust.
Members, it's pretty loud down here and it's hard for me to hear. So please take your conversations to the side. Representative Danielson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, colleagues. I liked what was said before about government interference, because that's what's happening right now. Let me give you a scenario. There's a patient who is forced to get her medication for her husband's insulin to treat his diabetes. Through her current arrangement, which this bill would change, she is forced, through her insurance company, to use mail order delivery. Now, the problem there is sometimes the insulin is delivered, it gets hung on a fence, it gets placed by a doorway. Regardless of where or when, if she's not there at that particular time, it will spoil by sitting in the sun. These are very expensive medications. She can only order one at a time because if her fridge were to break down, then it would spoil the $250 vial of insulin. This patient would prefer the ability to go down to her local pharmacist and pick up this insulin when she needs it, when she's able to care for it properly. Current law allows for the situation that she's in right now. What this bill would do would say, if her local pharmacist agrees to the terms of the insurance plan and the patient chooses to go this route, it is now an option for this patient. Right now, it is not. So when you're thinking through your priorities, this really helps the pharmacists provide the critical health care to their communities. It's patient choice, yes, but right now the inability to choose the method in which they obtain their medicines is preventing them from getting ideal care, even adequate care as a patient. It is a small change that will benefit people, and not just in rural Colorado. We heard about people in Denver who had similar issues. Some of their medications were available in their pharmacy, some of their medications were forced through the mail. It just so happens that some of those medications it would not be wise for them to be delivered to your home or your place of work. It's a privacy issue. So it's not just rural Coloradans, it's all Coloradans who, for the benefit of their health care, would like the opportunity when it's appropriate for them and it's acceptable to the pharmacist and it's acceptable to the insurance company to be able to go down and pick up their medications in person, face-to-face consultation with their pharmacist, and when they want to, use mail order. If that's more convenient and better healthcare provision for you as a patient, then by all means you will still be able to access that option. Absolutely. That's what this bill is saying, and I hope that you join me in supporting the bill. Thank you.
Representative Lawrence.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, I think I need to say a few things about why mail order pharmacies have been preferred. If you remember, we just passed a bill that allows Medicaid in the state to use mail order so that the state of Colorado can save a couple $1 million. But it's not just about saving money. It's also about safety. If you look at the statistics, mail delivery is much safer. They have a 99.97% safety record as opposed to retail pharmacies. And when you talk about this being all about patient choice, there are 9 pharmacies in the state that are not approved by networks. 9 independents, period, in the entire state. Tell me how that reflects that patients don't have a choice. None of those 9 pharmacies are in rural areas. So I don't understand when, and I'll tell you, members, if you look at the bill, I'm signed on as a co-sponsor because that was the part that I bought into, was that this was about patient choice, that they had to travel miles and miles to be able to go to a pharmacy of their choice. 9 independent pharmacies in the entire state are not in these networks. This is about mail pharmacy. This is about getting your drugs through the mail because it's safer, it's more economical, and that is part of the price that we have paid for the ACA to make sure that we have more affordable health care, and prescription drugs are a part of that. So you'll see me down here on third reading asking to have my name taken off this bill because I don't believe this is completely about patient choice. If they have the ability to go to any pharmacy that they choose, especially if you take your child in and they have a strep throat infection, you can go to your nearest pharmacy and get that prescription filled. But on a lot of those maintenance drugs, and I have family members on maintenance drugs, those are delivered in a timely manner to your house. They are delivered in refrigerated packages to make sure that they're safe. And again, if you want safety, mail pharmacies are the safest way to go and the most economical way to go. So I would ask for a no vote on this bill.
Representative Winter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I also care about safety, and I'm down here to ask for a yes vote. So first, let's be clear, this doesn't take away mail prescriptions, but it allows customer choice when, for some reason, that is not working out. Currently, my dad lives with me. He's on an array of medication, including heart medication that he has to take every single day. Unfortunately, I live in a neighborhood where our mailboxes were broken into 4 times last year. 2 of those times, his medicine was taken. One, that's not safe for him, but it's also not safe that that medicine is no longer in possession of the patient. We had to pay out of pocket to get his prescriptions refilled. We tried to explain to the insurance company how this was a regular occurrence and we no longer wanted mail prescription, but the insurance company would not let us out of the mail prescription. So this endangered the safety of my neighborhood, of my father, and so this is about choice when it makes sense, and I urge an aye vote.
Representative Klingensmith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've gone back and forth on this bill, and the only reason I'm coming to explain myself is because I'm going to actually vote against the Colorado Union of Taxpayers' recommendation on this bill. I know, it's unusual. Cut rated this yes, but I plan to vote no, and I thought I should explain why. They should, this bill is labeled as a patient choice, but there are other people in the contracts that will not have a choice. The carriers, the providers are not being given a choice, they're being given a mandate. And if a contract can't be voluntary on both sides, then you shouldn't have the government putting their finger on the scales over here to force these other people over here to get benefits that they're not paying for. The rest of us are going to have to pay for this, just like Obamacare, and this is a government enforcement of a contract that will raise the prices and give some people, now granted, it's going to give some people free stuff and better access, but the rest of us are going to have to pay for that, and I respectfully ask for a no vote on this bill.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I rise in strong support of this bill. This bill does affect people here in the metro area, and it's not just a rural issue. My own mother's insurance company only allows her to use one pharmacy, and the only branch of that pharmacy in Aurora closes at 5 o'clock. She works until 6, and so many times she can't go and get the blood pressure medication that she relies on. When I'm at a session, I actually am able to do that, but when I'm here, we have to figure out exactly how she's going to get her meds. With this bill, she actually would be able to have the choice of going to a closer pharmacy that's open later where she can actually get the medication that she relies on for her blood pressure. Members, this is a good bill for both rural and for the metro area. Members, this is an aye vote. Let's do it.
Representative Quorum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this is a good bill for rural Colorado, I assure you. I want to tell you a personal case. How many of you would have to drive 200 miles to go to a big box pharmacy? I don't see any hands. 200, 100 miles each way. So, it happens in rural Colorado. They depend on that rural pharmacy. And I don't care if it's 990 or 900. If it affects the community, it affects the community. Let me tell you a story. In West Montrose County, which is 100 miles to the nearest doctor, hospital, a family came to the local pharmacist. And this is written up in the New Yorker magazine. I think they've also talked about doing a pilot about this pharmacist. The only thing wrong with him, he's a Democrat. But a child had been sick. They saw a doctor. They made the 200-mile trip to see the doctor. But Friday night, the child is much worse. He's much worse. So what do? They call the local pharmacist, Don Colcourt. He said, I'll stop by and see him. He went by and he checked the child, and he said, you get him to the emergency room right away. This child is in a lot of trouble. The child had brucellosis. Without that pharmacy being there, this child would have died. He would have died. Now, what happens when we take all the business away from the rural pharmacy? They don't have one. There may be only 9 that are affected, but there's a family in rural Montrose County that is so grateful that they have that pharmacy there. They have a qualified person who looks out for their health. He is their doctor. They don't have a doctor. Members, this is a good vote for rural Colorado. I don't know how you can say no when you talk about the life of a child. Thank you.
Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I'm on the Health Benefit Exchange, and for a couple of years now, all we hear about is premiums are going up. They've gone up and up and up. This is going to make it just that much worse. A few years ago, I was able to use Walgreens, and I like Walgreens. They're very friendly, they're nice, whatever. And then all of a sudden, they lost the contract with my insurance company, and I had to go to Safeway, which I hated. So you cannot tell me that prices won't go up. Walgreens lost their contract because they couldn't meet the prices. So if all of a sudden I start going to Walgreens and demanding my medications at the same price as I can get at Safeway, something's going to have to give. And my suspicion is that both of them will raise their prices. And I can guarantee you that if the Affordable Care Act or whatever is driving this goes away, they won't lower their prices, because never in the history of the world do people actually lower their prices. I actually thought somebody was listening there for a minute. So this is just a bad bill. It is contract interference. And if you want to go to, you can go to any pharmacy you want right now. You may have to pay more, but that's your choice. What this bill does is it forces every single pharmacy in the entire state to take your prescriptions and fill them supposedly at the same rate as everybody else. And if you believe that, I've got a bridge I'll be happy to sell you.
Representative Primavera.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, you know, I know Representative Landgraf liked Walgreens, and with this bill, she could actually go back to Walgreens, which would be great. This doesn't force anything. If you'll read the bill on page 2, lines 8 through 13, in terms of raising costs, a pharmacist has to accept the same payment that the contracted pharmacies have agreed to, so there's no difference in cost there. And the co-payment for the patient has to be the same, so there's no difference in cost there. This doesn't mandate anything, it just gives patients a choice.
Representative Janal.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I urge no vote on this bill because there are 104 independent pharmacies right now, and of those 104, 95 are in network, so there's only 9 that are not in network. And it's because they choose not to be in network. So they have a choice as well. And so if 95 can be in network, why are the other 9 choosing not to be? I urge a no vote.
Representative Josie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, this bill actually will not increase the cost. We had a testimony from the NFIB. They are in support of the bill. And they brought the study from another state where it was done, and it did not show that the cost will go up. How could the cost go up if they accept the same rate that would be given to another pharmacy? The real issue is the patient choice. Here, patients have a choice where they want to go. Yes, we have definitely made a mess out of the healthcare. This is one way to help the patient choice and keeping the small businesses like small pharmacies. But we also heard from the pharmacies in Denver area too. So it is not just the rural issue, it is about the small pharmacy. We are supporting small businesses by voting yes on this bill, and I ask for yes vote.
Representative Danielson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The reason for the bill, I think the question that was brought up before is there's only so many pharmacies that aren't quote unquote in network in relation to the bill. I listened to testimony from people from Eads, Colorado, Basalt, Walsenburg, Ordway, Denver, Pueblo, and even though those are all different communities from across the whole state, they all had very, very similar problems. Those problems have to do with their inability to access their health care the way that is best for their health. And one piece of that is being forced through their current situation with their insurance companies to receive their medication in a particular way. Another problem that we heard from these citizens was when insurance companies go belly up, or they change their policies, or for whatever reason, one month you go and you order your prescriptions and they arrive, and the next month you go to access them again and you aren't covered for that prescription anymore. Wouldn't it be nice if they re-upped their insurance or they took care of whatever paperwork they needed to take care of, and in order to get the medication they needed in a timely way, they could drive somewhere and pick it up? Currently, they're prohibited from doing that. If they choose to continue with their mail order prescriptions, this bill doesn't change anything to prevent them from continuing to use the system that they prefer, the system that serves their medical needs most adequately. All this does is open up the option for those folks who really need to go in and visit with their pharmacist and purchase their medications in person. I urge an aye vote today, members, and I thank the sponsors for bringing it, because if you've ever been in this situation, it is frustrating. The other part of the problem that we heard from is when your insurance shifts or changes, or you have to go online to sign up for this mail order system, it takes a very lengthy time. There's a good hour put in on the phone and between phone service and the internet, sign up for these mail order services, which is fine. But we also heard from folks who were forced to always re-up their prescriptions monthly. It couldn't just be automatically delivered to their home. So they have to spend hours on the phone and hours on the internet ordering the medications that they get delivered to their home every month. And one woman said it's been the same thing for the last 8 years. There's nothing changing here. But she would find it much more convenient to be able to pick up those medications in person rather than spend hours on the phone every single month reordering the mail order delivery. Your time is extremely valuable. My time is valuable, and so are those of our constituents and the citizens across the state. If it helps them improve their health care, and remember, it does have to be under the terms of the network. They have to be licensed and accredited, and the patient has to choose it. This just opens up an option that will better serve the patients, and I, again, strongly urge your aye vote. Thank you so much.
Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Becker, you've made such a compelling argument for rural Colorado that I would like to move L005 and ask that it be displayed.
L005 is displayed. Please proceed. Now it's properly.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Becker, if this is an idea as good as you say, where'd he go? I think we should remove the restrictions on federal and state employees and include them. I'm sure there are at least people who are retired out in your area and in the other rural areas who perhaps have TRICARE or some other federal or state insurance, and there's no reason why we would exempt them. What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Representative Primavera.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would ask for no vote on this because ERISA is not subject to state regulations, and we're trying to limit this to about a third of the population. So this is not a friendly amendment, even though Representative Landgraf is friendly. I would ask for an aye vote, or a no vote.
Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Whatever. Representative Primavera, I am shocked that you would limit benefits to only 1/3 of the population. That doesn't seem very friendly to me. I'd ask for a yes vote.
Representative Primavera.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, we just had a bill recently that only affects 65 people in the state of Colorado, so I think it's okay to limit it to a third of the population.
Is there further discussion on Amendment L005? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Amendment L005. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Opposed, no? No! Amendment L005 is lost. We are to the bill. Further discussion on House Bill 1361. Representative Becker.
Good bill, vote yes.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm actually very conflicted on this bill. I thought I was in favor of it, then I thought I was against it, and I thought it was in favor of it. Sounds like it will increase, it might increase. Oh, you want me to shut up? Okay. Sounds like it might increase premiums. Yet, you know, we want to help our rural pharmacies. I agree with Representative John Becker. You know, we have a monopoly with health insurance companies because of the mandates of the Affordable Care Act. And so we don't really have free enterprise as far as the health insurance goes. But on the other hand, do we go against the principles of free enterprise? Do we go against the principle of not getting government involved in contractual agreements by voting in favor of this bill? I guess I'm going to have to come down to oppose the bill. Thank you.
Is there further discussion on House Bill 1361? Representative Danielson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. If there are any more folks who are wavering, like Representative Brown was, considering what was being said at the well, I would echo what Representative Coram said. In some of these communities, your pharmacist is going to be an integral piece of your healthcare provision, especially in rural Colorado, but maybe just down the street here in Denver. If there is an option for you that makes more sense as far as generics are concerned, or a discussion that someone has about the medication that could benefit your overall health care, you can have that discussion with the pharmacist in person when you want. It will help rural Colorado, Representative Brown. Again, when we heard from people across the state, particularly in outstate Colorado, they had come to tell us stories about how this bill would have prevented a number of hardships that they faced. They would still be paying the same premiums, they would still be getting the same health care, they would still be getting the same medicines, but this allows them to get it in a timely, safe way for their families and themselves. Members, I hope that you can come down on the side of the patient and access to health care and vote yes on this bill. Thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, Representative Primavera.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, everyone, for the good debate. This bill has been passed, or similar versions of this bill, in 30 other states. The sky hasn't fallen. It was supported by NFIB. It was supported by patients. It was supported by the pharmacists, and it's a good bill for patient choice and patient health, that they can go to one of the most trusted professionals and talk about their health care. So I would ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1361. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no? House Bill 1361 passes. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Assistant Majority Leader. I move the committee rise and report.
You've heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Kohler, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, Committee of the Whole begs leave reports under consideration of the following attached bills being second reading. The Government makes the following recommendations thereon. House Bills 1302 amended, 1311 amended, 1320 amended, 1356, 1357 amended, 1360 amended, 1361 amended, 1401 passed on second reading in order gross placed on counter for third and final passage. Senate Bill 133 passed on second reading in order revised placed on counter for third and final passage.
Representative Fields. Proper motion. There are amendments on the desk. Mr. Kohler, please read the McCann amendment to the Committee of the Whole.
Representative McCann moved to amend the report of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee in adopting the following Leontine Amendment L008 to House Bill 1360 to show that said amendment lost and that House Bill 1360 as amended passed.
Representative McCann.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, we heard this bill in the health insurance.
Representative McCann, would you make your motion, please?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
I move the McCann amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Proper motion and properly displayed. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We heard this bill in the Health Insurance and Environment Committee. The bill has to do with the continuation of registration for direct entry midwives, which is direct entry midwives are different from certified nurse midwives. Certified nurse midwives actually are nurses who have medical training. Direct entry midwives have a lesser amount of training and do not have the same kinds of requirements for a background in health care. So during the hearing, an amendment was proposed by Representative Joshi to provide that direct entry midwives could not perform her home deliveries when a woman had previously had a cesarean section. And we heard testimony from a couple of OBGYNs about the risk of a home delivery for a woman who's previously had a cesarean section. And the testimony explained that oftentimes the uterus is scarred as a result of the delivery of a baby by cesarean section. So that portion of the uterus is weakened. And if a vaginal birth is being attempted, which is fine, and that does certainly happen, that women deliver vaginally after a cesarean section, but there is a much greater risk of a rupture of the uterus, which can result in severe hemorrhaging. And that was the part of the testimony that was very compelling, that if this kind of hemorrhaging occurs, it's a matter of minutes before a woman can lose so much blood that she actually dies. And I think the committee, in adopting this amendment, felt that it was too risky for women who have had cesareans to then attempt a home delivery when they may not be very close to a hospital and where the midwife doesn't have the kind of medical training. I mean, one of the OBGYNs testified that even with an operating room right across the hall or on the same floor as the delivery room, it's still a very high risk for a woman who ends up in this situation with the hemorrhaging. So what happened today is that the amendment, Representative Joshi's amendment, was removed from the bill. So that would allow the direct entry midwives, the way the bill is now, it would allow direct entry midwives to perform home delivery births with women who've had previous cesarean sections. So my amendment to the Committee of the Whole would put that amendment back in that says direct entry midwives cannot deliver home deliveries with women who have previously had cesarean sections. So I would ask for an aye vote. I think it's an important amendment, and I really believe that this is for the safety of not only women who are delivering children, but for the babies as well. So I would ask for a yes vote.
Representative Ransom.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We did hear a lot of compelling testimony in committee this week, and DORA's recommendation on the Sunset Bill did not include a recommendation to prevent women that have had a previous C-section from using a direct entry midwife. In addition, this practice has been going on in Colorado and approved in Colorado for some 20 years. I believe 1993 was when we first allowed the the direct entry midwives to begin practicing and delivering babies at home. And it has not been a requirement before now that certain women are not eligible for this per our law. There is a very long qualification process that these midwives go through. We were shown the questionnaire in committee, and there are so many medical issues and health issues that women have to be very, very healthy before they can consider having a midwife deliver a baby at home. But think about women that have had several children. Maybe they had one cesarean section, then maybe they were in the hospital and had 2 or 3 healthy babies, a couple years apart, and then maybe they're wanting to have their 4th or 5th at home and they've had several healthy children. Well, this bill would just allow that choice. It would allow these trained midwives, with the approval of the mom, and if they want to bring in any other medical people. What I'm saying is that we shouldn't put a leash on the midwives and say that you can't ever do this. Many of them would not be able to. Many women do not qualify to have their babies at home just because of health issues. Many women are not eligible for it. They have different blood issues, they have whatever. This bill just is a choice. It's just a bill to allow women to have the choice if they want to, if they qualify, if they're healthy enough to do it, to have a baby at home. And if they did have a previous C-section, that would not necessarily just disqualify them by us when it's been going on for many years, possibly, but we are not the ones to put just a standard bill, just a standard exception in the allowance. My point is that we should let the medical people make that decision. I urge a no vote on the amendment.
Representative Lontine.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. When we were hearing the bill, it was suggested that this was a friendly amendment that was brought by Representative Ransom. And I appreciate Representative Ransom. She is thorough, and she is correct that this has been allowed for since we've been regulating direct entry midwives since 1993. What concerns me is that the testimony that we heard in committee mentioned from one of the physicians who spoke, his own family member had decided to have a home birth after she had had a cesarean, and she did have a rupture. Fortunately, she lived 12 minutes away from Swedish Hospital and was able to get there in time to save her life and her baby's, but it was close, and she almost didn't make it. What disturbs me about that incident is that it does not seem to be recorded, that no one seems to have any record of this incident happening in Littleton within the last year, which leads me to wonder how many others there are out there and how many other women have either lost their lives or came pretty darn close to it. And I would also like to say that this amendment did not only add a restriction to delivering after cesarean to the direct entry midwives, it also added, or who, according to generally accepted medical standards, exhibit signs or symptoms of increased risk of medical or obstetric or neonatal complications or problems during the completion of her pregnancy, labor, delivery, or the postpartum period. Such conditions include, but are not limited to, signs or symptoms of diabetes, multiple gestation, hypertensive disorder, or abnormal presentation of the fetus. So having had a cesarean myself, I can tell you that it's a little scary, and it was not expected, and that I am so glad that I was able to have mine in a hospital where I had access to a surgical suite that could take care of me very quickly. And I can say that this is not to say that midwives aren't good health care providers, but when you are delivering at home, you don't have the resources of having a surgical unit right across the hall. You have to depend on an ambulance to get you there in time so you don't bleed to death. So I would ask for a yes vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Ransom.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To answer the question about the medical doctor whose family member had complications following a home birth. I was told that that happened 15 years ago, so that may be why you weren't able to find records within the last year. I didn't see the records, but that's what I was told at the conclusion of the hearing. Second of all, I just have a question about this. The amendment up here says that L008 was proposed by Representative Lontine, and I have a feeling that it wasn't. So,
Representative Lontine.
they fixed it.
Thank you. Okay, never mind. They fixed it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Ransom.
Thank you for fixing that, and thank you for taking care of that. So again, I urge a no vote on the amendment.
Representative Joshi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, I rise in support of McCain amendment to the Committee of the Whole. We heard significant testimony, but the guidelines from the American College of OBGYN also says, for good reason, that if a woman had a previous C-section and next delivery, she should be monitored very closely. As we heard, Representative McCain mentioned that the chances of rupture of uterus and other complications, both to mother and the baby, are extremely high. And only way you can monitor a person is in the hospital where all the equipment and personnel are available. So that was the reason why I had proposed the amendment, which had actually passed also in the committee. And again, with Representative Ransom's amendment, it was taken out. So I thank you, Representative McCain, for this amendment, and I ask for a yes vote.
Further discussion. Representative Singh.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I know this has some bipartisan support, but I'm a little confused because some of the folks that are in favor of this amendment have told me in the past that there are 4 reproductive choice. There are 4 more choices in medical health care for women. And this amendment doesn't do that. And the choice that was illustrated earlier about a woman who thankfully was within 12 miles of a hospital, maybe we should consider she made that choice to take that risk because she was 12 minutes within a hospital ride. Women know their own bodies. So I think we should let them make that decision and take that risk. This is about more medical choices. I'd urge a no vote on this amendment.
Further discussion on the McCann amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We did hear a lot of testimony about this, but the other thing that I'm actually not even sure we heard is that the midwives already have this in their rules. So they are already limited as to whom they can treat, including people who have had C-sections. If a woman has had a C-section and she's gone on to have safe vaginal births, they would possibly offer their services. If a woman has had a C-section and is having a baby in a short period of time, they wouldn't do that. So they have rules on that already. We don't have to put this in state statute. I would ask for a no vote.
Further discussion on Representative McCann.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't want to belabor this. Sorry. But I will. So I didn't hear any testimony about rules that the direct entry midwives have about this. And we did look at their informed consent is not specified that they have to advise about certain matters. So I think that's part of the problem. The women who are choosing direct entry midwives may not understand the training and the background that these midwives have versus a certified nurse midwife. And so this, again, is the protection of women who sometimes really don't understand the ultimate consequences of this choice. Thanks.
Is there further discussion? Representative Klingenschmidt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I did hear this in committee yesterday, and I did vote with Representative Joshi yesterday. But then, last night, I was presented those rules, Representative McCann. I was told that the department already has specific limitations for midwives. They have to be, if they're doing this kind of birth, they have to be within 30 minutes of a hospital. They have to check all kinds of squares, and the department has already regulating this. And so I'm going to change my vote, and I'm actually going to vote with Representative Ransom, and I urge a no vote on this amendment.
Is there further discussion on the McCann amendment to the Committee of the Whole? Seeing none, Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 33 ayes and 32 noes, the McCann amendment to the Committee of the Whole report is passed. There are no more amendments on the desk. The question before us is the adoption of the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 65 ayes, no noes, and no excuse, the Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Are we in announcements and introductions? Announcements and introductions. Representative Williams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the Business Affairs and Labor Committee, please listen up. We will meet at 1:30 today in LSBA. We're back in LSBA. We will hear House Bill 161330, 1633, 1329, 1370 is being laid over, and we will hear 1404 for action only. I'll see you at 1:30. Thank you.
Further discussion. Representative Court.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Finance Committee, we've got a full agenda. Let's get over there fast. I'm going to call you absent if you're not there fast.
Representative Kraft-Tharp.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, if you would all please join me in welcoming a special guest to the chambers today. Representative Ed Vihill's daughter, Julie, and his grandchildren are here.
Representative Kraft-Tharp, what portion of that announcement would you like to take back? I think Representative Vihill would take offense. Please proceed.
I just want to thank.
Please proceed, Representative Vihill.
I just want to thank Representative Kraft-Tharp for being so thoughtful, and welcome to this welcome to the House.
We welcome your wonderful family, Representative Vihill. Further announcements, Representative Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. There are 48 third graders from the Creative Challenge community who will be roaming the halls of the Capitol today. So if you see them, please give them a high five, and they might be walking in right now. So if you don't mind, let's welcome them to the House. I needed some reason to get it.
Representative Kagan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just to reiterate, for those that didn't hear this morning's announcement, in Judiciary Committee this afternoon at 1:30 we'll be hearing the opening act of House Bill 1307 by Representative Melton, Threats to Persons at Post-Secondary Institutions. At 2 o'clock we will take an intermission from House Bill 1307 and we will move to House Bill 1391. And then when we have finished House Bill 1391, we will go back to the second and third closing acts of House Bill 1307. I'm sorry for this confusion, but it's 1307 from 1:30 till 2, 1391 from 2 until it's finished, and then back to finish off 1307. And then once 1307 is finished, we will go on to Representative Willett's Senate Bill 85.
Representative Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
And also with you.
So, Transportation Committee, listen up. All the other committees need some directions as to knowing what to do. I think Transportation Committee knows exactly what to do. We'll see you downstairs in a few minutes. Thanks.
Further announcements and introduction. Representative Lebsack.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Local Government Committee, we have 2 bills up immediately after adjournment here.
The Speaker has one announcement for today only. Representative Van Winkle will replace Representative Dorr on the Judiciary Committee. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to lay over the balance of the calendar until tomorrow, April 8th.
The motion is to lay over the balance of the calendar until tomorrow, April 8th. Seeing no objection, so ordered. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stand in recess until later today at 1:30 p.m.
The motion is to stand in recess until later today at 1:30 p.m. Seeing no objection, we are in recess.